Everything ready to start? Okay. Sorry. So I'm just streaming it, recording it, so then other people can watch it. Today everything is kind of global. So first, thank you for coming for my little talk about Hunyuan. And I know one of you, I don't know three of you, and the other one. So I'm Dr. Yaron Seidman from the Hunyuan Academy, which is an online school with students from all over the world. We learn something called Hunyuan. And today I want to talk about what Hunyuan is and give some part which is theoretical and then do some part which is practical, like exercises or things, or talk about the tea that you're drinking now, some meditation, and something that we can go home and practice and not just listen to the theory. And I want to thank to the DNKL Buddhist Center for Universal Peace for inviting me. And so I think where we are now is a sacred place. That's what it feels to me. So normally when I talk about Hunyuan, and I do give seminars about it, I talk about it in different ways depending who is the audience. And normally I see doctors and practitioners, so I start a lot about medicine and then talk about other things. But Hunyuan has a big part which is about heart, and I think if we talk about the heart today a little bit more is appropriate for this setting. So in order to talk about the heart, I hope that we can maybe just do meditation for 1 minute, like very short. Just try to forget about all the hustle and bustle. Just empty our mind, calm the heart, take a deep breath, just relax whatever way we know how to meditate. Just relax for a moment, just for a short moment. Okay, perfect. So Hunyuan is a way of living, and it basically has one mantra to it. It says, in order to have a fulfilled life, you need to be happy, you need to be healthy, and you need to have a strong life, meaning live a long life, which is also very vital. So this is the definition, and it's very simple, and I'm getting right to the bottom line, which is we need to be happy, healthy, and have a strong, long life. Anyone disagree? No. And I think everyone wants it, but oftentimes we get kind of a problem. All of a sudden I'm not happy. Why? Because things happen at work or in life. I want to be healthy, I'm trying to eat organic, but all of a sudden my stomach, my back, my head. And about the long life, we all want it. And that's the only thing I can say about it. We hope that it will be fulfilled. So I want to start, in order to explain about this happy, healthy, how to try better to get at it, how to be happy, healthy, and have a strong life. I want to start somewhere else, first talking about the heart, and this will lead me to why is Hunyuan thinking like this, and why is the method a little different than the conventional. This what I just said, everybody wants it. But everyone developed different methods. Like I think eating organic is good. I think if I'll go to the gym, it's going to help me, something. But I want to present our point of view and at first explain why is it a little different. I want to start talking about the heart the way we see it in Hunyuan. And this story starts when a man and a woman, a father and mother, start to have a desire to get together and create a new life. And all of a sudden they do what they do, and this life is being created. Right? The embryo, the new life is being created. In our language, in Hunyuan, we say what has just happened, the parents, because of their heart generosity or kindness, they participated in creation, and what was created is a purpose. Again, I'm just giving you the Hunyuan idea of it, and this is not necessarily something that I made up, but it has a tradition in China for quite a few hundreds of years. Something was created like a purpose, and we call it light or illuminating light. Like a light bulb, like the sun. There's illuminating light, which has many different meanings. Meaning, this person that is going to be formed, he's going to give generosity and kindness to his people around him, to his children, to generations to come, and so forth. Like the purpose is there, the light is there. But then the baby is forming. So first the heart of the baby is forming, and then the body of the baby is forming around it. And in this phase, in our language, we call it the pre-heaven phase, meaning the infant inside the womb is in complete universal love, like the name of this center. Like it's complete in part of creation, because that infant inside of the womb doesn't have the outside world to connect to yet. So there's no food, apples, bananas, something, even air or day and night. There's just the mummy warmth. And this we call a pure heart. But now, the baby comes out and separated from the mother, at least physically, when we cut the umbilical cord. And now the body of the baby and the heart of the baby has a job to do. They need to start to connect to nature. They need to breathe air. They need to start eat food. They need to constantly be connected to nature in a physical way in order to harvest energy. To take energy, and then we have more energy. I use the energy, but then we take more energy. And this is one aspect of the heart, and this is how I start. This one aspect of the heart is to have what we call inclination or desires. Like I need to breathe, I need to eat, I'm hungry, which is what will make our life, this light, to continue for 100 years. This I want is extremely necessary for us to survive. Without it, I don't want to breathe, and if I don't want to breathe, just let's take a guess what's going to happen. So these desires are extremely useful and beneficial and supposed to be there, but it's just one aspect. Remember, I started the story by saying inside there is a light, and this is before, there is the desires to things. At first, the baby is completely in universal love, like we're here, So right now the baby is growing and he's wanting to breathe, to eat, to drink. And this makes perfect sense. But I think, and this is how we learn in Hunyuan, what is being created right now is what we call artificial reality or a conceived reality. And in this conceived reality, the person is in the center. My body becomes the most important thing because I need, and when I get it, it feels good. Let's say I'm hungry and I'm eating, it feels really good. Let's say I'm cold and I get a blanket to cover me, hey, it feels really good. So this is what we call the heart start to recognize this reality, the arrows. The arrows means the direction of the action of the heart is towards myself. Like I project out, let's say I'm hungry and I see an apple on the tree. So I project out to the apple and then I want it, right? And I bring it in. Gradually the reality starts to be constructed that I'm an individual and I need is very important, and that makes me happy, or at least that's what my mind tells me, like I'm happy. Remember we started by saying Hunyuan is about being happy, and healthy and having a long life. So that, it sounds like it satisfied the first requirement. To have a fulfilled life means I need to be happy. I cannot be sad and depressed and frustrated. I need to be really happy. So now when I get stuff, it feels like I'm really happy. But then the only question is why sometimes I'm not. In other words, even if I, let's say, make a lot of money and I have everything that I need, you would think that a person that have everything physically they need will just be happy all the time. But I think a quick look around maybe shows it's not the case. Even if I have a lot of money, I mean, you can see in the news some very wealthy people, but maybe not very happy all the time, at least not all the time. And I think this has to do with this perceived reality. But I want to cut here, and I'll come back to this point later. When I look at Chinese medicine, where Hunyuan is coming from, over the last couple of thousand years, I think many people, not everyone, but many people who were practicing it were starting to do a method of reflecting inwards. In other words, this reality that I just described, they said it doesn't fit. You know, I mean, it seems that I'm happy, but yet oftentimes I'm not, even though I just have whatever I want. I'm rich, I have food, I have cars, whatever you want. So by starting to reflect inwards and finding other truth, the one thing that was prevalent throughout Chinese medicine history, that people say, you know what, it's not just about me, but rather me is always connected. Me is always connected to heaven, they would say. But we today say we're always connected to nature, to the universe, or to whatever is beyond. And when I start to reflect that way on myself, and I know that I'm going a little bit philosophical here, but I want to get to a very punchline soon. When I start to reflect inwards more and more, I realize that it's not everything about me. I start to realize that this purpose that I had there is the root of becoming happy. It's not just the me wanting apples that will make me happy, but rather this thing, this purpose that I got. That's why I started the conversation with that. At the beginning, I got this purpose, this light that needs to illuminate all the time. The problem is that the one aspect of the heart that want things to me start to make this light a little dimmer. In other words, the more I want, the less I can give you. You know, because I want it, it's in conflict. But if I don't want at all, then I have a problem to live. This is the conflict. Like, let's say I don't want anything. I don't want to breathe, I don't want to eat. I have a big problem. But on the other hand, if I constructed a reality where wanting is happiness, then I think that I want more, but actually, all of a sudden I realize, at least sometimes, that I'm not very happy. At least not that kind of happiness we're talking about. So for us, we say the heart has two different jobs. One is to want in order for me to survive, and the other is to be proper, like not to want too much, so the light can come out. And this will make me extremely happy. In regular English would mean, you know, when compassion comes out, when generosity comes out, it means that I feel that I have plenty. Imagine I have one apple, and you say, hey, I'm hungry, can you give me the apple? I feel in shortage, because I have one, and you want it. But let's say I have 1,000 apples, and I can't even eat them, because most of them are going to rot. And then you say, hey, can I have an apple? I said, here, take 10. You know, this is the feeling of generosity. Like I feel abundance. And that's why the person, oftentimes, if not always, we start feeling happy, like when they feel abundance. And this is the kind of happiness we're talking about. Not just if I get what I want, but our feeling like there's a lot. And this is, of course, depends on how my heart perceives the reality. And so, in ancient time, when people start to reflect on it deeper and deeper, first we said it's just about the heart and being happy. But then we realize also about healthy and about having a long life, it's a different reality. In other words, right now, and correct me if I'm wrong, but I've been dealing with medicine for many years, I think the way we perceive medicine or disease is something hurts me. Like I'm not comfortable. Let's say my head hurts me, my back hurts me, my stomach hurts me. You know, it has to hurt me. That means I'm sick. So when we talk about medicine, it means the medicine needs to fix me. Are we disagreeing with this? This is the general, how we understand medicine and being healthy. If it doesn't hurt me, I'm healthy. If it hurts me, I'm not healthy, right? It's that concept. And it actually is not a new thing, has been for thousands of years like this, because the tendencies of the heart after I'm born is to start to direct the arrows towards me, and then if me doesn't feel well, this means I'm sick. And then the medicines start to construct like this too, like how can I treat you? Let's say give you some herbs or give you some acupuncture or drugs or surgery or something. How can I fix you? Right? This is normally what happened. But now, in ancient times, as we reflect inwards, and I'm following many people before me, we say we want to think about the concept of what does it mean to be healthy, because I need to be happy, and we already got a little grasp about that. But I need to be healthy too, right? If I'm sick and my stomach really hurts me, it's a problem. I can't eat the food, and then I can't survive, and then my heart goodness can't come out either. Let's say if I don't have energy and I'm very sick. But what is the concept of health? I want to explain that in a few words. But just to say first that the reason that our medicines start to develop differently is because we start with the heart first. Realizing that there is a reality, but maybe it's not the reality of I need, I want, and if I don't have, I feel sad. Right? We start having a little different reality, but in this reality also there could be sick, and I just need to figure out what it is. When I start to reflect inwards and realize that, I got part of creation in me, this illuminating light. And this is all part of creation of the universe. The way to start realizing what is the heart for. Remember I said the heart has an external function like I want, I need. And then around it, as a baby, I have a body developed. If I didn't have a body, just try to imagine what would happen. I was conceived, I'm an embryo, but I have no body. There's no lungs, there's no stomach. If that embryo were to come out, there will be no place to connect to nature. Like there's no lungs to put air in it. There's no stomach to put an apple in it. Right? There's not all this physical body, like I have no muscles and bones and skeleton to reach out to nature. So we can see that this heart that wants something and the body that then has an ability to do things has the purpose, we call it a vessel, that can connect to nature. Meaning I have teeth, I have tongue, I have stomach, and I can connect to nature. Like take an apple and put it in. Break it, digest it, and harvest from it the energy, and then I have more energy. So we can see that the external heart and the body that surrounds it has a purpose of connecting to nature. All the time we need to connect to nature. Without the body, I wouldn't be able to do it. I wouldn't be able to have the heart application of, wanting to be generous and kind. I wouldn't be able to do anything. So I got a gift at the beginning, but without the external heart of desires that I need to eat and breathe, without the physical body that allows me to do it, I cannot do it. Right? It's a whole one system, and that's why we call it happy, healthy, and long life. It actually talks about a few different things. And right now we're talking about the healthy part. The healthy part talks about the body. But how can I see it if not, it hurts me? Like hurts me means I'm sick. How else is it possible to look at it, right? Normally, just think about it. What does it mean to be sick? I don't feel well, right? Me and I don't feel well. But if we just, and that's why I asked us if we can meditate just for a minute first. If we reflect on it for a moment, and we realize that we're part of a big thing, part of the universe of creation, part of our parents, our grandparents, our ancestors who created us, we realize that the body has a serving purpose here. In other words, it's not the objective, like I live to have a body, but rather I have a body so I can live. But it has this logic to it. And the ancient Chinese that I've been learning says we are always connected. And now this is really weird. Like if I look around, you see there's nothing around me. I mean, there's the chair and stuff. But the ancient Chinese, for thousands of years, they said, the person is always connected to heaven. And in many different ways. And I'm trying to figure out how to make it a contemporary concept. Because if I say I'm connected to heaven, if I ask you to explain to me, how are you connected to heaven? The sky is over there, I'm over here. It's not really connected. There's no wire connecting me to it. But if we think about it a little bit differently, we start seeing, and I ask us just to contemplate it for a moment. When we look about creation, there is a principle there. And since ancient time, Chinese sages were saying we're looking for the one principle, not for the myriad things. We're looking, what's the principle? And we look at the universe, at creation. What is the principle? And the principle that we find is that the creation is constant, meaning it's infinite. 1,000,000 years ago, 5,000,000 years ago, but of course in modern science we'll disagree. We say there's a big bang. So it started 5 billion years ago, whatever, and before that there was nothing. And nobody can disagree with that, because me and you didn't live 5 billion years ago. But the Chinese concept of Tao, of purpose, is different. It says the creation is infinite, and when you look at it, at least in the meditative state, you can see clearly the principle, and the principle is that it moves in circular motion. A circular motion means it does not have a beginning or an end. And the power within it is infinite. Like it keeps on going and going and going. That's why a circle, you look at it, it's like there's no beginning and an end. It's like different than a line. So in ancient time they call it the Taiji principle. Taiji principle means an infinite circular motion, no beginning and no end. And all of a sudden when we're alive, we're participating in it. And there are many ways that we're participating in it. And this is what we're looking for in Hunyuan, to try to understand what is the body. In other words, let's just talk in regular language. When the sun comes up, all of a sudden, without an alarm clock, my body starts to conform to that, unless I'm like underground in a bunker. But if the sun comes out, nobody even tells me anything, but my body starts feeling the heat, the light, or even if there's not so much heat or so much light, let's say we are in Norway, so we can't say the heat wakes it up, but maybe the light. But I'm sleeping, my eyes are closed, and the shades are closed, so I can't see the light so much, and still my body starts to conform to this movement. We start to realize that the body, this physical body, is not so much what I just mentioned before, like an independent unit. I'm not connected to anything. I'm completely within myself. The heart, the lungs. This is what they normally teach us in medicine or medical school. You have your own system, and your connection to other people or to the universe is half coincidental. Like if it's hot outside, you put air conditioning, so it's not hot. That kind of a logic. Like we create our own. But throughout history, at least for people who reflect inwards, they say the body is actually a vessel that helps us connect to the universe or connect to heaven, like the ancient Chinese would say. And that would mean it connects to the circular motion. So just imagine, normally I have a whiteboard to draw these things, but now I don't, so it's a challenge. Let's just try to imagine there's a circle. The circles means all the cyclical actions in the universe. That includes the seasons, that includes day and night, and many other things that we know or don't know. And now my body is trying to conform to them. So we start to look at the body instead of saying, like in modern medicine, let's say you have teeth, tongue, stomach, you have acid to break the food. It all has like a physical view. What is your body? It's just like a material, like a physical view, which it is. I'm not disagreeing. But I think when we look at the body, it has much more meaning to it. And just judging by the history, where we always thought, at least in science, that we know everything. And then every 10 years we realize we didn't know anything 10 years ago. So right now we also think we know everything, but maybe 50 years from now, reflecting backwards, we will not think that this knowledge is everything. But I think the ancient wisdom is quite beautiful. Meaning my body is part of it. It means the cyclical actions in nature. And now when I look at the body, instead of looking at it as a piece of body, I start describing it as a cyclical action. Meaning, think about it. Every day we wake up, and then I go to sleep again. I wake up, I go to sleep again. All my life is like this. And this repetitive action is called a cyclical motion, which conforms to nature. But everything else that I do is likewise, meaning the heartbeat, right? I breathe in and out. I breathe in and out. I eat and I go to the bathroom. I eat and I go to the bathroom. Actually, all the processes that I do have this starting and ending, starting and ending. It's not like I'm starting and it's just going. Everything has a cyclical motion. We are participating in this. In order for my body to participate in this, I need these external heart functions of desires. I need it. You know, like I open my eyes and all of a sudden I see an apple on the tree and it's delicious and beautiful. And my memory pulls out from the inside that I like it. My mouth starts drooling. Right? This is the heart desires. Without this, I will be like a chair. You know, like let's say an apple and me and I feel nothing. It will be a terrible existence. So we do need this. But I want us also to realize that we have more than this. And if we forget that and we don't have the happy part, the one that is illuminating from the inside out, not conditioned by the external, then it's a problem for health too. The heart ability to function well makes the body circle well. So in other words, in regular English, if my heart is very happy, I feel abundance, it is actually extremely difficult to get sick. It's almost impossible to get sick, unless I'm just crossing the street and a car hits me. But when my heart is abundant, I will probably not cross the street and not notice that the car is coming. So there is actually a relationship between the state of the heart and the state of the body being able to move in cyclical motion smoothly. We call it synchronizing with nature. So it's not like the body is thinking it out, but rather my heart is the instrument that allows it to sync with nature. But now there's one more thing that I want to share with you. My heart has illuminating light in, and outside it has some desires. And my body is a vessel that connects to nature. How does it connect? In cyclical motion. But there is another element here. If we just think about how life is progressing, the principle is always the same. The desires are the same, the physical body and what it does is the same. But when I'm very young, when I connect to nature, at least physically, the abundance is great. I'm eating, I'm drinking, I'm breathing, and it feels like I'm full of energy. I'm full, you know. But just look at little kids running and jumping without end. And you know, we adults, if we see kids around us, we just want to rest a little bit. Let me take a break. Last night, my girl had like sleepover with her friends. I don't know, they're like having fun until 2 o'clock in the morning. Let me just go to sleep. You know, it's different for older people and younger kids. But then when we grow older, for each one of us is different, but the general principle is that even though I keep on doing the same thing, but I'm having less and less energy. I feel normally more and more cold, more and more tired. Can't run so much, and of course, the older we get, we need to get smarter. So we're not like the little kid, we have to win in other areas. You know, it's not just running and jumping and doing all kind of things. But this is what we call the principle of unification. When we are born, the vessel that we have and the heart that we have in between, we have an ability we call unification ability. Unification means not just that I have a body to ingest things or to breathe air or to drink water, but rather my body has an ability to extract from it the energy and bind with it. And this ability, as the cycle goes by, is getting weaker and weaker, and differently for each one. So some people who are staying happier, healthier, live longer. This weakness or decline is very slow, and they live a long, happy life, which is all what we want. For other people who maybe have problem with the happiness or the body part, this unification starts to decline faster, and their life gets shorter. And this is one way to look at it. Just I live shorter. So again, the name of the game for us is very clear. We want to live long. If I was in a class with little kids, I would tell everyone, just say, we want to live long. But because we are grown up, I would say, let's keep it cool, you know. Not jumping it. But that's what everyone wants. It doesn't matter if we're kids or adults. I want to have a long life. But why? Sometimes I think we get a little bit confused. In ancient time, we call it confusion. Why do I want to live long? Because I want to make more money. Because I want to buy more cars. Because I want the Lambo, like my son is telling me. I didn't even know what it is. You know what a Lambo is? It's short for Lamborghini. You know, like a fancy car. Very, very expensive car, Lambo, that's in slang. But actually, I think that we do want to live long in order to be happy. What does it mean, happy? I have abundance. What does that mean? This purpose that I was giving at birth, and we talked about it at the beginning, is keep on coming out. I call it, I get a gift at conception, and I want to use up this gift. This is why I want to live long. Not in order for the accumulation, but in order for the abundance. This is called happy, happy and healthy and long life. Going back to that unification principle, connecting my heart, being able to have energy again and again, desires again and again, or emanate or illuminate that light, has to do with this unification ability. And if you imagine it, look, we have like a sun or a light bulb right in the center. And around it we have this external heart. It has actually two jobs. Before I said it has one job of having desires. The other job that it has, which is a more important job, is to make that light come out. This is the instrument, the vehicle to make the light come out. In regular English, what does it mean? When I'm married, when I have a child, when I have a parent, which we all have at one point in our life, this light is coming out. Like, I want to help, I want to be generous, I want to be kind. The opposite of I want to hurt, I want to be hateful, I want to be hurtful, right? This is the opposite of it. The heart jobs, when it works properly, is to have little desire so I can survive, and then make the light come out. If we start to construct a different reality and I feel I need more, meaning I have shortage, I don't have enough apples, always. This light has great difficulty in coming out, maybe a little bit sporadically, but then this is the other concept, the other part of the concept of living a long life. One is I just want to live 120 years. The other, living a strong, fulfilled life, means that this light, we call it the inner application, is constantly coming out. Like I feel full and happy, not because I got what I want, it's because I have so much to give. And giving so much in relationships, like to my parents, to my children, is effortless. It comes out like nothing. It's all a question of how much the external heart is obstructing it or not. But in order for the heart to do these two functions, first wanting some stuff for myself, and the other is also to make the light come out. In order for the heart to be able to do it, it needs energy from nature. It needs to be connected all the time. That's why if we have no air, after 2 minutes, my heart cannot do anything anymore. Like I was supposed to do it for 100 years, but after 2 minutes, it's over. If I cannot breathe. Or if I don't have food, or if I don't have water, it's very short. So my heart constantly needs to have desires. Give me water, give me food, give me shelter. I don't want to be cold and get sick, right? But then immediately it turns around and I have plenty. So in my life, starting to have plenty becomes the norm, and the wanting is also there, but it's just as much as we need. We call it the heart becomes proper. It just takes what it needs. Not 10 times that, not 50, not 1,000,000 times that. And it has nothing to do with if we have money or not. Like being in poverty does not translate into a good, kind heart. You can be poor and feel really miserable and just want to steal from everyone. It's not being poor is the goal. Sometimes you can actually, by destiny, have a lot of money and you feel very generous, so you do things with the money that you have. Sometimes you don't have money, you still feel very generous. You just need, you walk on the street and you see a piece of stick there, and you're like worried that someone else will go and trip on it. So you just take it, put it in the side. It costs nothing. It's like to do this heart light doesn't translate always in money. If I have it, I can do it. I don't have it, I can't. But this is what makes the person abundant and happy all the time. But in order for the heart to do that, I go back to the unification. I need to have in that instrument the batteries work really well. And this is our unification ability. Like, how can I recharge the batteries? And if I can recharge them poorly, that translates into less energy for the heart. In other words, if you just think about it, let's say yesterday I was really tired. My kids got me crazy and I was working a lot and the night before I didn't sleep. I get to the end of the day, my body is out of energy or not so much energy. It's very difficult for my heart to be now very patient, very kind. My kid says something and I may snap at them. I'm intolerant, I'm angry. I can't, I just want to rest. But vice versa, when the unification is very strong, it's very easy for the heart to feel plentiful. Like I feel so good. And when you feel so good, it's easy to say, yeah, sure, take. Because I have so much. But this is the relationship between the being happy and then the being healthy and long life. The long life has to do with my unification. My battery is working really well. So right now I just constructed for you our view when we say happy, healthy, and long life. What does it mean? We all want it. We just have our own concept. Where does it start and how to try to support it? So today in this talk, different than what we do in the Hunyuan Academy. In the Hunyuan Academy, we have 3 tracks with many different courses. How to learn medicine, how to learn about the heart, how to learn about the body. There's many different courses for the purpose of becoming a doctor or a practitioner. But today I want us to learn some things that everybody can do, because we're not doctor right here. We're all heart practitioners. How to do these 3 things, And so, but I just needed us to first have a concept of what are we looking for. We have the light, we have the heart around it, we have the body around it. How is the body? Is a cyclical action. Just imagine a big circle on the outside. How is the heart inside? Is also a circle. Just imagine a circle inside. We can't see it. The emotion, the desires, they also move in cyclical motion. Like I want, but then less. I want, and then less, right? It works like this, the heart. It's not like I want, and that's it, it's want, right? It cannot go out all the time. It has to go and come back. Like this beating, like the heartbeat, like the sleeping and waking up, sleeping and waking up. It's all this cyclical motion. But at the end, we have this center. This center, for me, and maybe I'm a little naive, but this center for me, this light inside, is precious. There's no amount of gold or money that you can buy that. Like this external craving, I want things, I need things, originally it's just to sustain me. But now it seems like I have more power. Just look people in politics and things. I have power, I have money, I can rule the world. But all of a sudden they get a heart attack and it's over. It's game over. And they were never happy. You can have someone that seemingly have no power, is not the president, is nothing. But he's always happy with his family. He's always he lived one life and he put this gift out to numerous people. And his children, his neighbors, his brothers, sisters, they all give it out to other people. Like ripples in the ocean. It's it goes far. So not always what we think is beautiful. Like I have a friend, I know someone who's a very famous musician. Doesn't matter the details, but 30, 40 years ago, he played in the Super Bowl, in 1979, and he was playing the anthem, with Spanish kind of rhythm. And he was at that time banished. Everybody was complaining about him. He lost millions of dollars at the time. But now you fast forward 40 years, and they indicted him in the Smithsonian Museum as American icon. Things like that. You don't know. At first it looks like it's not so good, but then it turns out to be full of heart and influence many generations. It's not always the way it seems. So we're looking for this real thing. We're looking for something that, first of all, right now, will make me happier, stronger, and more healthy. So this is a little bit our selfish desire. I really just want to be a little bit more happy, healthy, and if possible, if I can live a little longer. But then there's also not the selfish thing. It's the real light coming from the inside. I really want this gift that I got to, spread it, not for me. There's no arrows at the end towards me. I want to be good, so at the end people will say I'm good. I want to be kind because out of guilt or something. It's just this thing. It's plentiful. It's abundance. And if you want it, I sure have to give. It's not that I'm forcing it on you. Let's say I have 1,000 apples. It's not like you take an apple, and I'm putting you down your throat. It's not like that. It's like this feeling of being happy, but it's because I can share. So now I want to move into the practical side. I know it's just the idea, the general idea, but for us, without putting it into practice, it means nothing. If we just had a big fancy talk, I'd go home, I don't know. I got nothing to do, it just sounds fancy. We do have methods, and some of them are very simple and extremely useful, and this is what I want to teach today, in each one of them. So first I want to start with the heart. If you don't mind, we can learn just a little technique for us to practice, something that we can go home and start practicing that first part about the heart, the illuminating. How about that? Okay? So, this meditation style is kind of a meditation practice that we're doing. Remember, we have this purpose at the beginning, this light, it's illuminating, and it's there, everyone has it. For the people that I learned from, and we're talking 200 years ago, so that I learned their texts, they say every person is like a sage, every person, is like a Buddha, every person is like Confucius, or like Lao Tzu, or whatever sage you want to follow. It does not belong to someone. It's like everyone has in themselves this. That means this light. But the way of the sage is to know how to make it come out. So if we don't make it come out, we're not like the sage. We lose it. Like we have it in it, we just need to make it come out. It's not an external thing. It's not give it to me. It's there, just let's find it. So remember we said at the beginning we have this light that we get. And then the heart forms around it. And the heart has desires. But these desires, if they are proper, they allow the light to come out. Where is it coming out? It's coming out to my mouth with the words that I'm saying, to my thought, to my mind with the thoughts that I'm thinking, to my body with the actions that I'm taking. Like if this light starts to come out, I don't want anything. Remember, I gave an example. Let's have 1,000 apples, and you said, can I have one? I said, sure, take a few. This is actually a physical action. Also, my thought was there, and I also said something. This is how the light comes out. It's not that you look at me and I'm like a light bulb. All of a sudden you see light coming. I'm using the words light just because we know it's immaterial. It's not like my blood is coming out. It's nothing. It's like an intention. In our language we call it a sincere intention. The thought comes out. The words come out. The actions come out. And the opposite is true as well. In other words, if my desires are very big, then you will say, look, can I have one of your apple? And I say, no, it's mine. Like my kids when they grow up. Mine. And it has a certain vibration to it, and a certain intention to it, and the words and the action all conform. This is where the light is coming out or not coming out, by how I behave and how I talk and how I think. Like it's also internal. I can also sometimes pretend to be very giving, but inside I feel vacuum. But I know that if I give, people will say good things about me. You look at him, look at Dr. Seidman. He looks really generous. This is half good. It's not really bad. It's good that we do something good instead of trying to hurt people. Even if I fake it, it's good. But it's better to be sincere about it, meaning to feel when we're sincere about it, it comes out effortless. For example, let's say my wife is coming home and she's really tired and she's getting a little nervous because she's tired, she's missing energy, and the kids are driving her nuts and stuff, right? And she's irritated. She's not like this, but I'm just making an example. All the time I pick up on my wife, so otherwise I'll have to pick on some of you, so I pick on my own. But she's irritated, and then all of a sudden I feel I need to do the dishes. I need to take the garbage out. I need to dissolve it but how? Not by telling her, stop being nervous. I'm feeling threatened and I'm starting to punch her, like verbally or something. To the contrary, I'm starting to remove all the obstacles. Remember what I just said before, if there's a piece of stick on the road, all of a sudden, it's not my problem, I can go around it, I saw it. But someone else will, tumble. but I care. So I removed it for him or her, not for me. For me, I just walked around. But the same thing here. All of a sudden, I feel plenty. And I feel like I want to help, but the point is that it comes out completely spontaneous and effortless. It's not an agenda. It's not like when my wife gets angry, start running around the house and do the dishes. It's just spontaneous and effortless. And you can never get tired from it, because the more you do, the happier you get. Contrary to the normal situation. Like, I did the dishes, now it's your turn. You know, that's an opposite thing. Like, I want to do something good, but I'm tired too, you know. The kids drive me nuts too. It's a different feel. And that feel, I mean, first makes the relationship a little bit awkward, but it makes me tired. And it will make me sick. It's completely related. From like maybe 1,000 years ago or more, in China, they have this saying, all the diseases belong to the heart. And you think about it, what? Everybody was a cardiologist. What are all the diseases to the heart? What's with the diabetes and the other thing? But to the heart means this is the center of it. When the energy there is abundant, the body is just a vessel. And of course, it could get hurt externally, and we need to know how not to get it hurt. And today we'll learn an exercise for the body as well. But when the heart is happy and the unification has very easy time to recharge, the body has plenty of energy. You know, the reason that when we are young, we are sick less. I mean, we get some infectious diseases maybe, but generally compared to, if you take a 10-year-old kid, you compare them to a 90-year-old person, clearly the 10-year-old kids are much less sick. Because as the older we get, the heart gets in chaos, the unification has much decline, and the body doesn't have energy. So the systems start to work less. The lungs, the stomach, the sugar, whatever you want. But the name of the game is not for us not to decline, is to decline less and be happier. And we could actually, this is what I believe, we could become 100 and never get sick to our last day. At the end, the story has to have an end. But we don't have to get sick. We got used to it, that, you know, when we get older, we have like this little boxes with more and more pills. First 2 pills, then 3, then 7, then, I don't know, 1 million pills. We got used to it, that's normal. But I'm not sure in our reality it's normal, you know. It is normal for that kind of medicine, for that kind of sick, that gives these kind of drugs, that makes a lot of money, is that kind of a reality. For us, it's like the person in the heart, they are sages. Their body, if they allow it, will be healthy forever, easily. Now you may think it's too fantastic, because you look around and you say, but everybody gets sick. And I can only say, not enough people practicing Hunyuan. That's why everybody gets sick. It's like everybody wants more, everybody feels there's not enough, everybody makes the unification get weak. Because, you know, inside of the heart, this is my master would teach me, nobody can see it. The person themselves cannot see inside the heart, you know, because we constructed a reality, and I think that I'm happy now. And even if I'm sad, I think it's okay, I got used to it. You know, this is happy. Like every time I buy something, did you ever hear about the shopping therapy? You get sad, you buy something, I'm really happy. I mean, it is temporary, you know, transiting. It's not that you're not happy, because you did get something. You felt the void and you're getting something and it feels good. But, I mean, either you run out of money first, or you have a lot of money that this shopping therapy doesn't work anymore. You know, let's say millions and millions of dollars. I don't think that these people, even if they buy every day 5,000 items, they now feel completely bliss. Because at the beginning, if you're really deprived, you can buy some things, it makes you feel happy. But if you have a lot, and this is not the happiness, it's not coming there, guaranteed. I mean, you just need to watch for a few minutes the Desperate Housewives shows. Not that I do, it's not that I get a glimpse. Maybe a lot of money, but sorry, I hope I didn't offend anybody, you know, with that show and get sued for that. But I think, so this is what I want to teach first. The most important thing, it starts with happy, healthy, long life. Everything starts here. if the heart starts to become very peaceful and in harmony and the light start to come out. So how do we do that? This is at least my method that I want to share here. We take a deep breath. The first step, you can just put your hands on your thighs. Doesn't have to, just sitting on a chair is good, so you don't have to sit in lotus or anything. Just comfortable, sit comfortable, lean. Feels really, really good. The first step of this is just to try to, for a moment, to think less. We call it empty the mind. And to try to want less. We call this calm the heart. And this is our first beginning. We always start all our different kinds of meditations that we have in the Hunyuan Academy. We always start with empty calm. Like empty the mind, calm the heart. Just for a few seconds. This is the first part of it. Slow down the breathing. Like make it calm. Make it calm. Think less and less. And want less and less. At least at this moment here now. Just do it for 10-20 seconds. If you start thinking about something, no problem. Just let it go and think less and less. Want less and less. And now, after we got to a little bit calmer state, I want us to try, just with our imagination, to feel like we are getting more and more into the time where we were like inside the womb, even though we don't remember that. But just try to feel like you're in a place, like you're in that bubble, in that sack. That there's no air there, and there's no apples, bananas, cars, houses, right? It's just that warmth of the mother. And this is called a state of unity. And this is the place where we gradually start to feel ever so slightly this light inside. Just try to imagine you're looking at an infant, a one-day-old infant that just came out, and there's just no way not to love them because they're so pure. The light is still emanating effortlessly. That feeling. And the reason that we love that infant is because it connects to that place that we have inside the heart. The same pure place. And we feel related to this completely and immediately. So just try to imagine that for just a few moments. This state of no worries. It's so beautiful. It's that feeling of looking at a newborn infant. This is how we feel. It's very calm. It's very cozy. Very special. Because we feel our mom, our dad. But now from this feeling, I want us to turn the palm upwards. Instead of the palm being on my thighs, palm facing down, I'm turning the palm to face up. And this feeling of warmth, of being connected to my parents, to my mother, feeling this precious infant inside of me, I start to bring it out to my heart, that I want to breathe. I want to breathe means it's now my heart that wants things. But even though it might be a new exercise and a new experience, and we don't feel much. We just do it over and over. I feel the infant in me, and then I bring it out to my heart, where I want to breathe. And this feeling of the infant that now came to my heart, I transmit it into my hands. I just imagine this heart now that I feel, not just imagining this pureness of the baby, but this heart that I feel, that I want to breathe. I bring it into the center of my palms that are lying on my thighs, the palms facing up. And I want to have that feeling in my hands. This is how we practice how to bring this light through my heart, into my hands, into my body, which will eventually translate into my physical actions. And we do it again and again. Like I go back for a moment, I feel like the infants, I have no thoughts, no desires, but then I want to breathe. And I feel it in my heart. And then I am thinking of my hands, and I feel it in my hands, in the center of my palms. Let's just do it back and forth a few times. Even if we don't feel anything, it doesn't matter. We shouldn't, there's nothing that's going to jump out here as miraculous. Just try to exercise it. From the feeling of the infant, to the feeling of the heart wanting, to the physical feeling of my hands. The next step of this practice is, I do the same thing. I go into this embryonic state, into the infant state. Just feel the bliss, the warmth, the abundance. We are part of creation, part of nature, part of heaven. And then I feel it in my heart, and I want to breathe. It feels so good to breathe. But from here, instead of going to my hands, I focus my attention on my brain, on my mind, and on my thoughts. And I'm thinking that I wanna breathe. I wanna think. I wanna do something. And it's connected to this feeling, the embryonic feeling, the infant feeling, through my heart, through my desires, to my thoughts. So let's practice this, even if it's a new thing and we don't feel anything. Just practice this. I feel warm. I feel connected. I remember my parents. I want to breathe. I feel it in my heart. I'm thinking that I want to breathe. I'm thinking that I want to do something. And I feel this baby there. We allow this light from deep inside, from when we were embryos, when we were fetuses, babies, to come out to my heart desires, to come out to my mind, to my thoughts. Back and forth, slowly, not so fast. Slowly, but a few times. Very calm, very warm, very comfortable. then from here we do the same thing. Start at the embryo state, just warm and cozy and abundance. And I feel my heart. Then I bring this feeling to my tongue and my mouth. I'm clenching my teeth together and my lips. If there's any saliva accumulating, then I swallow it back into my abdomen. And the meaning here is that this feeling of the embryo to the heart, to the mouth, will affect all the words that I'm saying. All the words that come out will start to have this traces of the light in me. We do this a few times, from the embryo feeling, to my heart wanting to breathe, to my mouth wanting to say something, my tongue and my mouth. The next step, I do it from the embryo feeling to my heart, and then to my ears. I want to have this feeling of worth and abundance to everything that I'm hearing, every sound, every word. I want to feel the heart of the other person. Again and again, going to this embryonic state. Just remember the warmth inside the womb, the pureness. Coming out to the heart, I want to breathe. To my ears, I'm listening with this feeling. The last part that I want to do, from the embryonic feeling to my heart, and then finally I open my eyes, and I want to still keep some of this feeling of warmth and abundance when I open my eyes. And while my eyes are still open, I'm still looking inwards, not yet looking outwards, just remembering this feeling in the past, many, many years ago. I was just a baby, and it feels just like when we look at other infants. It feels exactly the same. I want to breathe. I feel it in the heart. And I'm opening my eyes, and what I see, the images that I see, are still related to this. And keeping this feeling, we can also look at each other. And if we had 1,000 apples here, I would give you some. Just feel like, sure. I mean, I need some things, but whatever I have, you can have. Weird, it's weird. Whatever I have. if I have a lot, I can give you some. Not everything I have. I need some. I need some for my family. I need some for myself. But I have a lot. Whatever extra I have, I'm happy to give. So this is our practice of the heart. One of the practices that is very easy to do. So all this fancy talk that we talked about the light and this, if we just think about it, it may sound good, but it has no meaning. Like if we don't practice it in Hunyuan, it has no meaning. It's another philosophy. There are a million philosophies. Freud, I don't know who, other philosophers. But if we practice it, gradually we start to get the feel. At the beginning, I know that there's no feeling. It's like, I don't know, because you practice for 30 years, 50 years, 60 years, the same thing of the same reality. So this, what I talk right now, is a new thing. But everything new, if we start practicing it and getting used to it, you'll see the feelings start to develop different. Like then, and this thing I practice every morning, every night, before I go to sleep, every morning when I wake up, I practice it. Gradually, and very slowly, ever so slowly, you open your eyes, you start seeing things a little different. Every time, a little different. At the beginning, it looks like the same. But after a while, it's quite different. Quite different in the way that I just explained before. My wife comes, she's very irritated from work, from the stuff and the kids. All of a sudden, it's like, let's do the dishes, let's, the garbage. Like before I came here, my garbage, I had like 2 bins of garbage in the kitchen. They were like with my kids. We have sleepovers, 2 sleepovers. My son, my daughter, a few kids in the house. And the garbage is like overflowing. Like one will go on the floor. And I wanted to come here, but all of a sudden, I realized, let me just take the garbage out. Not because I think a man needs to take the garbage. A woman should take the garbage out too. It's not like a man thing. It's everyone thinks. Like to want to be helped. It's not like, I have to go and give a talk at the Buddhist Center. So the hell with everybody. It's not that fear. It's like, what should I do? That's the tea, for my wife. Take the tea, I made the coffee for her in the morning. That's the thing, the garbage, put the dishes are clean. I'm ready to go. That kind of thing. But it's just because you look at things differently. It's not like, artificial education, how to be good. It's just like, spontaneously, it's easier, it's abundance. It's just easy to do. And the bigger effect is, remember at the beginning I said when we do it, the selfish part of it is I want to be healthy. I want to be happier. I want to live a long life. But the side effects of it is that everyone around you gets infected with this. Feeling happy, feeling healthy, and having more life. It's infectious, but in a good way. Like because you're doing so much good, everybody start to have an easier life. All of a sudden, they want to do it too, spontaneously. It's not like, sometimes I tell something to my wife and she said, I didn't subscribe to your class. So you can't really say it. You have to do it and it infect people. It's not like you say it and people learn from you. You just do it and people, it's infectious, this thing. The second thing that I want to teach today that we can practice is about the body. First, we need the heart to have a training method to have the light come out and impact the body and the unification in a positive way. Second thing we want to do today is to learn an exercise, a physical exercise for the body that will help it circulate. Like move without obstruction. We say the body is a vessel that synchronizes with nature, and wherever the speed of the body start to slow down or speed up, this is where disease starts showing up. In other words, if something in the body starts to work a little bit too fast, I feel unwell. Or if it starts working too slow, I feel unwell too, just in a different way, with different symptoms. When any system in the body works just right, I feel great. Does that make sense? If everything in the body works perfect, I feel great. That's the definition, and we call it center. Center means the body, in whatever processes it needs to do, it works just right. And there are many, many different processes. The hormones, the blood, the nervous system, the muscular system, the digestion, right? A million things. But the principle, there's only one. Meaning, If everything works just right, it's great. So now, instead of going into the myriad things, says, okay, what do you do for diabetes? What do you do for the heart? What do you do for the breathing? Right? This is called going to the myriad things. And this is endless. This is good for selling procedures and drugs because you have endless possibilities. So million drugs and million surgeries. But if you have one principle, then it's better for the people, not so good for business. There's not so much to sell, it's just make everything work right. Does that make sense? So for us, when we look at the body having a circular motion, there's actually 4 things that happens in the circle. And this is a big story, I give you the short version of it. The bottom of the circle, like if you imagine my body, not just this body, but the body activity is a circular activity. Remember, like I said, going to sleep, waking up, going to sleep, waking up. It's a circular activity. Everything is like this. The heart beating, the breathing, even the eating. It looks what's circular with eating. It comes and goes, comes and goes. It's a circular activity. It's not like comes and stays. If it stays, it's a problem. Try imagine, you eat a chicken and it's here. Or you eat an apple, if you're vegetarian. And it's here. It's a problem. Right? It has to come and go in different ways. Like you break it, you take some from it, it goes in the bathroom. There's all kind of things happening. But the little details don't matter right now. Just that we understand there's a cyclical motion. And this cyclical motion has 4 parts to it. And this is since ancient time. Since ancient time, they said, in that time they would say, the chi of the person has an up and down, in and out. These are the actions that we have in the body. And actually, when you look at the circle, if you imagine my body activity is a circular activity, the center of the circle is inside the center of the body, where all the internal organs are. It's not where my feet are. Just imagine there's a circle. The bottom of the circle, this is the place where unification takes place, is where all the inner organs are. Like this is where you take food, and this is where the energy binds with me, not in the foot. You know, like when I eat an apple, and I take an energy from it and I bind with it, it doesn't happen in the foot. It happens in the cavity, in the abdominal cavity, between the heart, the lungs, the stomach, the intestine, the liver, right? All the inner organs. This is at the bottom of the circle. This is where the unification takes place. But now from the bottom, if you look at the circle, it has one action, one unfolding action. It's not going in both ways. You know, like if you look at the day and night progression, right? It's morning, afternoon, night, morning, afternoon, night. It's not morning, afternoon, morning, night. It doesn't go in all kinds of directions. It has a one progression. Let's say you look at the seasonal cycle. The spring, the summer, the fall, the winter. Spring, summer. It's not spring, summer, then back to winter, then to, right? It has this order that we are taking part of it. Likewise, the activity of the body. When I go to sleep, it's not like all of a sudden I'm at midday. Right, I go to sleep, then gradually I wake up, just like the spring, just like the morning. You know, I gradually wake up until I'm fully awake. I'm fully awake, and then in the afternoon I start to slow down, or at least I should. Forget about all the iPhones and all the modern technology that keep us until 2 a.m. freaking out. But let's say we're living a regular, harmonious life with nature. Getting to the afternoon, the evening, we start to slow down until we go to sleep again, right? And it repeats itself in that pattern, right? We don't jump from sleep to the afternoons, just skipping the entire day in as how we feel. The action of the circle from the bottom going to the left is what we call an out action, right? It's going outwards. And then from the left side to the top, we call this an upward action. From the top of the circle to the left side of the circle, we call this a downward action. And from the left side of the circle back to the bottom, we call this an inward action. This translates in the body to this situation, where from the center of the body, if I open my hands, this is an outward action. It starts from the center of the body and it starts traveling out to the hands. Then from the hands up to the head, this is the top left part of the circle, which we call an upward action. It's still out, but it's even going upward towards the heaven. When we look about physically at the body, going down all the way to my feet, this is from the top of the circle to the right side of the circle, if you look at it backwards, right? From the top of the circle to the right side of the circle. This is all the action going from my head down to my feet. And then from the right side of the circle back to the bottom, this is from my feet going back to the center of my body, and we have completed a full circle. Going from my stomach to my hand, to my head, to my feet, and back to the stomach. I'm back at the same spot where I started. Right? This is a circular motion. Sometimes people get confused because this looks at the bottom, and if you look at me, the bottom is like the feet. But the bottom of the circle for us in Hunyuan means the center. The center where the unification takes place. It's not in the feet, like I explained before. It's where the inner organs are. And the unfolding of the energy going out and upward and downward and inward until I get to the very same place that I started. Physically in the body looks like this. From the center of the body to the hand, to the head, down to my feet, and back to the center of the body. Did we get that relationship of the circle and how my body looks? Is this action. This exercise that I want to share with you today in Hunyuan is called the sincere body. Sincere body means how the body really unfolds. And I know that it's in sharp contrast to modern medicine. The body is a square, we call it. A square is like there's no cyclical pattern to it. It's just like this. Like you have the lungs, you have the stomach, you have the kidneys, and they have their functions, but it doesn't have a whole harmonious action. It's just each one does its own. The kidney filter the thing there, and the heart pump the blood, and the lungs take oxygen, and somehow all these pieces became something. And again, it's not wrong. It's all correct. It's just that this point of view looks at the myriad things. You know, the many drugs, many procedures, many surgeries, many diseases. And we have a different mindset, looking for the principle. Just how to be harmonious with nature. And I often tell it to patients that I see in the clinic. And this might sound a little bizarre to some. Our objective in Hunyuan is to be happy, healthy, and live long life. Happy means that I'm very content and I have my application, meaning I'm bringing out light and I'm helping everybody. This is happy. I feel abundance. Healthy means nothing hurts me. I don't feel hot, I don't feel cold, I don't feel nauseous, I don't have diarrhea, like no symptoms of whatever. Long life means that I live many years, hopefully, I don't know, but I hope so. But it also means every morning I live more. Meaning that when the light comes out, when the inner application comes out, I just feel so alive. When I feel angry and irritated and impatient and intolerant, the person is, depending on our definition of life, is also alive, like he's breathing. But his purpose is half. The purpose means not that I decide, that his parents created him or her. That's their purpose. The purpose of the person is not to be sad, is not to be angry, is not to punch other people, is not to hurt other people. This is not why this is what I believe, it's not why we were brought into this existence. Is we got this gift from our parents, from creation, and our purpose is to feel this abundance and share it. And be happy with it, and be disease-free with it, and have a long life with it. But every moment also feel alive. So again, this might be politically incorrect if I say half alive. I don't know. But it means what I mean in a good way. We need to be happy and feel great every single moment. Let's say we have 100 years to live. I shouldn't be happy just 50 years out of the 100. I should be happy 100 years out of the 100. That's what we're supposed to feel. Every moment. But many people will say it's impossible. The bank is after me, want to take my house, and this and that, and my wife is shouting at me. No, everyone has their reason why not to be happy. But I don't think that it's accurate. This abundance comes from the inside. It's not that reality that it's conditioned by the outside. You know? And I don't want to stray out too much. But about the body, restoring the harmony of the body, we're looking for that one principle. And so the exercise that we do now is called sincere body. So if you can, we can just stand to do this exercise. It is related to the first exercise that we did with the heart. But at the end of it, this is at the end of the heart exercise. If we just finished the heart exercise, remember we were sitting, came into my hands, came into my mouth, into my brain, into my eyes, into my ears. I feel this light coming out as much as possible. Now I want to practice this exercise for the body. If this light comes from the inside through the heart to the body, it removes most of the diseases in the body over time, not like after 1 second. But over time, the body starts to recover its proper speed. If it was too slow, which means I had back pain, it starts to speed up. If it's too fast, and now I feel like skin dryness and eczema, like another kind of disease, it starts to slow down and it starts to become better. It is related to how much light comes out through my tissues. This is called sincere body. So it is related to the heart exercise, even though now it's different. So in this, after imagining we just finished the heart exercise, and now we're going into this exercise. I reach with my hands lower, as if I'm reaching to the ground between my legs, but I don't bend over. If you look at my back, I just bend my knees, but not so much bending over. My back is still straight. I just imagine my hands as if my fingers become long all the way to the floor, and I'm pulling on the inside of the legs into my lower abdomen until my hands come out here, right in front of me. I'm closing my thumb and my forefingers, and now I'm opening my arms to the side. And when I do that, now imagine that part of the circle from the bottom that goes out. From the center of my body, I feel that it goes out to my hand. I just imagine this, the proper unfolding of the body. I move from the center and I imagine that it goes under my arms into this hollow fists that I have here. From here, I open my hands and I start imagining that now from the hands, as I'm raising my hands up, the palms facing forward, I imagine also that it goes up all the way to my hand. Just a feeling, like something is climbing up all the way up to my head. And now imagine on our circle is the top left side. We got to the top of the circle. At this point, I turn my palms to face backwards. And I start to descend the palms along the side and the back of my head. I feel like water is flowing down my body, on the sides of my body, on the back of my body, going down along the outside and the back side of the legs, right? Not the inside, the outside and the back side of the legs, all the way to the floor. I turn my hands to be on the inside of the legs. The palms are kind of facing towards my legs. And now we're just where we started before. I pull it up, back, and I'm in the center again, which is at the bottom of the circle. Okay, if we have that circle, we're at the bottom now. So this action is called sincere body, this exercise. Just keep your knees a little bent and your hips a little bit, so don't stand straight like this because it makes the energy stop. Just make it a little bent. That's great. Not too bent, otherwise we get tired. Just a little bit, comfortable. The body should be upright and very relaxed. So we start in the center. Let's just do for a few seconds like the heart exercise that we did before. Just become like this embryo. Start breathing, feeling your heart. And then when we get to the hands, this is when we start. First opening, going out along the underside of the arm. Open, stretch the fingers. Start climbing along the upper side of the arms, climbing up to my neck and my head, to the top, the crown of the head. Turn the palms backwards, and now start to descending. This is from the top of the circle to the right side of the circle. Flowing all the way down to the ground on the outside and back side. Then bringing the hands to the inside of the thighs, pulling from the floor along the inside of the feet, the inside of the lower leg, inside of the thighs, back into the center, and you're back at the bottom of the circle. Again, so every time when we finish a full circle, just pause here for a few seconds, so not too fast. Everything needs to go slow here. Slow and relaxed and easy. Just take a few breaths. Feel the warmth in the heart, this embryonic warmth. Open. Up to the head. Turn the palms down in the back and sides. And the inside back to the center.
Hello.
No problem. You can just put it over there. Do you need to put it over there?
I just have a question here.
We're not part here of the center. Try to knock on the other door.
Okay.
Hope you find it. Let's try to do it. Let's say we're tired, exhausted at the end of the day. Let's do the same thing, sitting down. You don't have to stand for this exercise. But we got the idea of the circle when we stand down. Let's do it when we sit down. Just bring the light out through the heart to the hands. Then we start opening, we're going out to the sides. We're going up to the head, to the top of the circle. Turn the palms. Going down on the outside and back all the way to the floor. Then bring the hands from the inside, pulling up along the inside of the legs, back to the center. We're back at the bottom of the circle. Just stay there for a few seconds. Empty the mind, calm the heart, feel the warmth of the little baby. Breathing, wanting to breathe out to the hands, open, going out, going up, going down, going inwards, back to the center. Again, do the heart exercise. To the hand going out. Going up. Going down. Going in, back to the center. Stay in the heart, and to the hands. center, back to the baby heart. My heart to the hands. I'm going out, let's just do it one more time. Going down. Going in, back to the center. Then when we finish the exercise, just put both your palms covering your umbilical cord with the lower abdomen. Just empty the mind, calm the heart. Just stay like this for a few seconds. This is called sincere body. So this brings me to the last section of this talk. If you still have patience in you, if you can stand me. I just want to talk about medicine for a little bit and then talk about some herbs that I brought and tea that I hope you drank some and maybe we can drink some more. I would definitely love some more of this. So how about we take some tea if you finished yours and then I'll talk about it. You finish it already? Or you thought of others? She is the best student, serving for everyone.
From the heart of abundance.
Absolutely, great abundance. So, I just want to say in a few words about medicine and what we're drinking here, the tea, and what we could do at home about it. I think there are three kinds of problems that we can experience in life. One is a heart problem, and we talked about it already. The other is physical problems in the body. My arms hurt me, my back hurt me, urination is burning, I have diarrhea, I have nausea, right? My body is giving me problem. Many of these problems of the body could be sorted out through exercise or exercises like the one that I just explained, even though that's not what medicine will tell us, today. And this talk is all positive, so I don't want to be anything negative. But, there's a lot of other agendas in medicine which are not medicine per se. Medicine is about helping the people. But in the big scheme of medicine, there's all kind of things. And they will tell you to develop the drugs cost many, many millions of dollars, so you can't be so scanty and just sell a little bit. You have to sell a lot, otherwise how do you recover? All kind of logics. You need this drug to cure cancer, it costs so many millions to develop it, so you have to give it to so many people. You can't just give it to the minimum people that need it. Let's say there's 5 people. But this is part of it, not the whole entire logic, but why medicine is often abused rather than used. Abuse is because there's other agenda, there's other engines behind it. And this is all what I can say about that. In my experience, many of the physical diseases can be sorted out through proper kind of exercise, like the one that we did, and many other things too. So, and I've witnessed many times before, people that age very gracefully and they're actually not medicated all their life, but they kind of just do exercise every morning and they keep the heart very peaceful. And they age with grace, without disease. It's absolutely possible, even though they will let us believe today that it is not. Like you have to get sick, and you have for that to get some drugs or procedures of some sort. This is when the problem is in the body, meaning the body loses its speed. We could have some problems with that. And for this, we say in Hunyuan, the best approach is to use external kind of method, like exercises. And we could also use external therapies like massage or acupuncture or things from the outside to help it. It's the minimally invasive, but it can still help. So for example, in our Hunyuan system, we can use acupuncture or heat pads or cold packs, like we use in sport injuries, to speed up the body or slow it down in different parts of the body to reach the center. So in other words, I have someone that have headaches and I tell them take this heat pads and put them over here, and after a few times they feel better, and that's it. In other words, they did it by themselves, and it's not really something that they have to come even for treatment all the time. This is for these kind of superficial problems in the body. You could use some treatment, but it's very easy, and most of the time through exercise you can remedy it. Especially if the heart is harmonious. The first problem, like I mentioned before, is with the heart. Sometimes the heart starts having a problem, and we already talked about it quite a bit today, and that at the end ends up in the physical body not working well. And then you can do to the body whatever you want. It's not going to get fixed unless you fix the heart. Right? So the problem that we have in the body, you can just do exercise will solve it. The problem in the body that starts in the heart, you have to make the heart happy and abundant. Otherwise, this stomach ulcer is not going away. It doesn't matter how much drugs we're taking. We have to solve the root of it. But there is a third kind of problems that I want to share with you now. This is the problem with the unification. And it could be related to the body. It could also be related to the heart. It's all one whole system. But this is the problem with unification. Remember, I made an example of a little kid versus a much older person, and they eat and drink the same way, but the little kid has a lot of energy and the older person has much less. This is because their ability to unify with the energy, to convert the energy to become their own, is much less. With the years, that's what happened. But for some of us, it happens much, much less until the last day. I still have quite a strong unification. So you can see someone who is 80 or even 90. And he's, he's 90, so he's not 5-year-old. But he's not so sick, and he feels really happy, and generally, he's walking and healthy. Like I have a patient now who is 85, and he's like, all gung-ho kind of a thing, which is great. The heart is harmonious, the body now just start having a little problem. And I wish it will be with me too, that at age 85, I will start for the first time having a problem. That's a good thing at that age, not at the age of 20 or 30 or 40. But this has to do with the issue of unification. How strong are my batteries? So this is why we have medicine that we ingest. Generally speaking, when we ingest food, the food, like rice, bananas, apples, they are neutral with the amount of impact that they have on my body. They have energy to them, I harvest the energy and I bind with it. That's why every day I can eat rice all my life, no problem. But when we start dealing with herbal medicine or drugs, It means we take any substance, drugs could be artificially created or not, or extracted from something, or a herb that grows in the garden, or fruit or something. It actually has some impact on the body. We call it leaning, a leaning action. Leaning action means that if you take something, let's say the root of that tree outside, we don't know what it does, but it could be harmful, not harmful. If it's very toxic and you eat a fraction of 1 gram, all of a sudden maybe you don't feel anything, even if it's toxic. But of course, if you eat few grams of it, all of a sudden you get diarrhea. But let's say other roots, other plants, weeds, grass, leaves, flowers, you take them, it's not really toxic, but if, let's say, you eat 50 grams of it, all of a sudden you start feeling hot, all of a sudden you start feeling cold, all of a sudden you get a headache. Its action is a little leaning. It's not like rice or apple or banana. Meaning it's the same thing, you ingest it, but it starts to lean off the center. Leaning off the center is the meaning of medicine. Medicine like medicaments, like drugs. Meaning it's not rice. Leaning off the center means it's not rice. It's not the banana. But depending on the principle that I understand what health is like, that's why we get different drugs. Either Western drugs or herbs or something else, tinctures of sorts. Depending on what my principle is, this is how I would make medicine. For us in Hunyuan, we first try to understand the body the way I explained it already. We have the body, we have the heart, and we have the unification ability. All of a sudden we realize that the unification ability is a critical thing. This is like the recharging of the batteries. So just imagine, let's say you have a radio or a stereo system or an iPhone 15, let's say you have iPhone 15, that nobody else has it, but it runs out of energy because the battery runs out, and then it's meaningless. Like you have the best iPhone with no battery. Then it's nothing, it means nothing. This is the meaning of the unification that we have. Like you can have the most beautiful heart, the body which is great to make us alive and things like that, but all of a sudden no energy. Like no recharging. I mean, we have energy, we use it, we run out of it, and there's no new energy forming. This is the unification ability, or we also call it the recharging ability, the ability to recharge. So for us, when we do Hunyuan medicine, like we start to use medicinal substances, the main objective becomes, I want to get more recharging. The heart, I have heart things. The body, I have body things. But for both of them, I want to have a lot of energy for as long as possible. This becomes the objective of the medicine. And for this, we can use herbs to help us. And here again, this is a huge story, but I'm giving you the bottom line. The recharging means that I take energy from nature and I convert it to become mine. This is what recharging means. I eat an apple, digest it, take the energy from it, and now it's not an apple anymore. It's me. Right? It has been converted, a part of it. Most of it goes out in the bathroom. But a part of it, a small part of it, becomes me now. This is how I unified with it. Now it's mine. It became Dr. Seidman's energy. This has two elements to it. One is the food that we ingest has energy to it, and the other is my ability to unify with it. So this example of the 10-year-old kid and the 90-year-old person, they both eat the same apple. The apple has the same energy. But this kid seems like he has a lot of energy. He's bouncing and jumping. This 90-year-old person is not bouncing, even though the apple was the same. Let's make it worse. The old person eats 5 apples. The little kid only eats 1 apple. He gets 5 ounces of energy, he gets only 1 ounce, and yet he has more energy. This now has not to do, it's not to do with how much energy the food has, but rather how much I can take. Right? It's my ability, not the apple's ability to have energy. We need these two. So before I mentioned to you, when we do herbs, we have a leaning off the center action, meaning stronger than food. I just need to know stronger in what way. If I, in random, like I said before, just go and eat the root of that tree, just because it's a root. All of a sudden, after 2 seconds, you're dead. That's not medicine. That's we call toxic herbs. Toxic herbs has the meaning of medicine, but means I don't use it in the right time, the right amount, for the right purpose. Right? It has a leaning of the action, but leaning, it means it just took the life out of me. So that's not really, when we say medicine, it means use a leaning, have a clear principle of what needs to be done, and now increase that effect. Right? That you could not do with food. So many people tell me, yeah, I'll eat organic, which is great, but just need to keep in mind that for thousands of years, organic food was the food. So now people, because the norm became adulterated food and processed food, you eat organic and you feel like a sage. But it's not. For thousands of years, people, that's the only thing they ate. But they would still get sick. They still have the heart problem, the body problem, and unification, even with the organic food. So I don't want to look down at organic and all the marketing schemes behind it. It is important to eat healthy food. But now we're talking about another thing. Leaning off the center means I need things that have a little bit more oomph, that can increase my unification. And for this, normally we take two different kinds of herbs. We take herbs or spices that are spicy, that have fire to them, energy, they have more energy to them. And then we need different kinds of herbs or substances that do what we call a submerging effect. In other words, I eat the fire, or so to speak, the hot, spicy, energetical things, and then I have another element in there that submerges it, which means doesn't make me feel hot, doesn't make me feel sweaty, doesn't make me red eyes, headache. Now we start talking about not just using in random herbs or spices, but rather how to combine them to reach an effect. We call this a formula. Formula like combine few of them, and it's not the equal of the single items. If you just use one of them, all of a sudden it's just being side effects. It doesn't go where you want. It's not the effect that you're looking for. So this is what we call in Hunyuan a unification strategy, meaning we use spices or herbs or plants to get to this unification effect. And I need, for this, fiery substances, and I need submerging substances. In Hunyuan, I like to use, most of the time, very common spices and herbs. I don't like exotic things. I don't like mushroom that I have to travel 2,000 miles to find. I like stuff that I buy in the supermarket, in Whole Foods, or in other supermarket. It makes sense to me. I just need to know if there's stronger doses that I can use or if there's better quality. So many times I go to the supermarket, the quality of these spices are quite poor because it's cheap for them to buy. And they just mark it up so it looks expensive, but it's actually a cheap substance. So this is the only thing. But in general, I want the common herbs, the common spices. I don't want to go too exotic. I don't want to eat spiders and cockroaches and stuff like this. I want simple stuff. So I find that when you take, and this is what I want to share with you today, and this is the tea that we're drinking today. In unification formula, there could be all kind of things, but right now I'm making it very simple so everybody can practice it right away with no risk of anything and not extra knowledge that is needed. Just at home, and you do it with spices right away. The fiery elements that I have are two different kinds of cinnamons. One is called Ceylon cinnamon, which is true cinnamon. The other is Vietnamese cinnamon, which is much spicier, but they are actually two different kinds of species. Cassia tree and cinnamomum tree. They are two different kinds of trees. So I can just show you, and you can just bring it around. And these are the two cinnamons that you have in the tea now, in the unification tea that you're drinking. You can also take a piece if you want. Vietnamese cinnamon, bite on it, eat a little bit. It's very spicy and delicious. These are organic cinnamon, so no chemicals for you today. This is the cinnamon. The other thing that we need to reach a unification effect is a sweet flavor. The sweet flavor, which kids really love, has a pulling down effect. In other words, if I eat sweets, I'm going to die young. because it's pulling me down and there's no fire in there. So for a young kid, they have a lot of fire themselves. That you eat sweet, it's kind of calm them down maybe, even though the chocolate can make them hyper. But the sweet, not the chocolate or the caffeine from the chocolate or whatever there is, they're stimulants. Just the sweetness, the sugar, is going to slow them down a little bit. And again, for very, very young kids, this will give them an extra energy and they're going to start being hyper. Just because they have a lot of fire and they get unification with the sweetness. But when we do a unification kind of tea, which is very simple, I need the spicy thing like the cinnamons, and I need a sweetener effect, so you can easily put honey, even white sugar. You know how everybody hates white sugar? You can put it and it's actually going to be an elixir, and all the dentists have to forgive me here. You can put honey, organic honey, or what I like to use is molasses. It also has maybe other nutrients to it and stuff like this. And for this I also use a licorice root, which is sweet, and I bake it with molasses. I dilute the molasses in water, then I bake it for a whole day on low temperature, so it's dehydrated. And this is our submerging element. So we have fire element and we have submerging element. Let me just show you Ceylon cinnamon and Vietnamese cinnamon. Ceylon is the one that looks like rolled leaves.
Oh, okay.
And the solid bark is a Vietnamese.
This one not spicy?
Huh?
This one not spicy?
Yeah, this one is spicy. So you should take a little piece, but don't eat a lot, because all of a sudden you'll realize that you need to spit it if it's too spicy, and I don't know if in the temple it's a good place to spit.
Which is this one?
This is the
The
Vietnamese.
spicier one?
Spicy. Just a little bit, but I'll share with you a secret. Like, sometime, without the tea, I'm just talking about something else for a minute, which is related. Sometime you eat lunch, you get tired, or at work in the middle of the day, all of a sudden you're kind of tired, and people normally will run to get coffee or something to get themselves up. I like coffee, I drink sometimes coffee, so no problem with coffee, but forget about the coffee for a minute. You just take a little piece like this of Vietnamese cinnamon and you eat it, and it's spicy like this. Within a few minutes, you're not tired until the evening. Because your tiredness is pulling down, and you put fire, it binds. This is your submerging element, without the sweetness. You just put fire into a very tired person and they bind with the fire. If the person is very alert and you start putting a lot of cinnamon in it, they don't have what to bind with, and then it starts coming up. Like I start feeling thirsty, maybe a little headachy, or something like this. So the more tired I am, the less sweetness I need. I just need the fire and I bind with it. The less tired I am, I do need a submerging element like this prepared licorice. The final thing, so we have two different kinds of cinnamon and the licorice in this tea. And the final ingredient that I have, we call it spinning. And for this we have ginger, fresh ginger. Now this morning I used all my ginger in the tea that I cooked, so I didn't bring, but I trust that everybody knows what a ginger root is. So ginger has what we call a spinning effect. Spinning effect means it takes the submerging element and the fiery element and it helps them mix together better. You don't have to use it, but it makes the effect strong. So it's not fiery like the cinnamon. It does have a fiery, pungent taste, but in this formula, it has the effect of combining the sweet with the spicy. We call it a spinning effect. This is very simple. Like, tell me who could not get here some sugar and some cinnamon and some ginger to make their tea. Everybody can get it. Like, you don't need to go to a doctor or a herbalist. It's like you go to the supermarket. Just try to get good quality, not the cheapest necessarily, just a good one, organic, something. And with the cinnamon, some organics are also very poor. You bite on it, tastes like wood, like you're eating the tree, with slight faint flavor of cinnamon. So that's not good. There's no fire. You need to have this experience, like if you eat it, it's like, feel kind of fiery. This is what will make the unification happen. No fire, there's no unification. So this is the third thing that I want to share with you, which you can easily do every day. like drink this tea. If you feel very happy and very energetic and abundance, maybe you should not drink unification. You know, like when the heart is like a nuclear reactor, you don't really need to drink that too. Just eat rice and vegetables. But most of us, with the mortgage, with the job, with the people shouting at us, it's hard to be so peaceful. So the unification is always a little weak. I'm just a little bit tired, a little bit groggy. Everybody. Unification is how should I put it, like the best kept secret. Is there something like that? The best kept secret. You know, like for me, when I feel tired, all of a sudden if I get sick with something, it doesn't matter what. I just make unification herbs, I have more energy, and I do meditate, I calm the heart, I do some exercise for the body. It's like a miracle. Like do it yourself miracle. Which, you know, I mean, with all honesty, it's like amazing. It's not on a regular level. It's not like taking supplements, you know, buying from the store, this is good for the liver, enzyme. It's not that level at all. This is like taking people who are sick, all of a sudden not sick. Really tired and groggy, all of a sudden not tired. And it's not like coffee. It's not stimulant. The difference between this and coffee is very big. You know, coffee is a stimulant. It takes the energy out of the bottom and it does make you hyper. The more you take it, the more the unification gets tired. The long-term effect. In other words, if you are a heavy coffee drinker, all of a sudden you become dependent. Without this, you're exhausted. Start getting migraines. Don't function. But this is different. You just take it when you need it. You don't get addicted to it. It's like having a great night's sleep. You sleep, after that there's just abundance of energy. There's not that long-term effect that all of a sudden without it you're exhausted. That's not how it works. Like normally with people that I see and they have some symptoms, like in the clinic, patients, and they take this unification for some months and they had symptoms, let's say a migraine or something else, and now it's getting much, much better. And then they stop with the herbs and there's no migraines for many, many months after that. It's not like just when they take it, it kind of sustained them. It's just the body is different now, it's stronger. So today I wanted to teach something that's like very simple and useful, how to make a unification style tea. Do it yourself with ingredients that you find yourself. But this is our last missing piece of the puzzle. The heart needs to be harmonious and we learn something how to do it. The body should also be on time, so it doesn't feel sick. And the unification needs to be strong. So what is the unification weak? Because of the heart, because of the body that was sick before for 10 years. This is it. Like this is the missing part of the puzzle. Like how to get stronger in addition to try to manage the heart and the body. So at the beginning of the talk I started by saying Hunyuan is being happy, healthy, and long life. The happy involves this heart work, heart harmony. The healthy means the body always goes on time, so nothing bothers me. And long life means the unification, the batteries recharge really good. And then when the batteries recharge really good, the heart has much easier time to feel abundance. The body has much easier time not to get sick. You know, so there is this importance of the unification. But in all truthfulness, that's the way I see it. Everything starts from the heart. So if the heart is like super abundance, you don't need unification help and you don't need any help in the body. It's like a nuclear reactor. The abundance of energy is endless. I think, you know, sometimes people don't believe in it anymore. Because I am sick, I am sad, I am angry. Now, some things don't work my way. And this is the reality. But this reality is changing. You know, normally that's how I explain it to my students. It's like if we have a certain reality here, in this world, and that means I have to go to work in the morning, I have mortgage that I have to pay, right? I have all this stuff, and everybody have it. So you look to the left, you look to the right. This is the reality. This is the truth. But let's say you take me with this reality, and you pluck me out of this society, and you put me in the, I don't know what, in a monastery in South India where like they're coming,
the tradition of this temple here. And everybody's monk around me, and they meditate all day, and they eat. They just need to eat very little until noon or whatever the process is. And again, I was just plucked out from, let's say, New York City. Someone just plucked me out of the city and put me in there. So at the beginning, it's foreign. That's not my life. My life is with the buses and the trains and stuff. All of a sudden, everything slowed down 1,000-fold. Everybody here, take this. Everybody's like you. They want to pour me tea instead of smacking me in the face. Everybody all of a sudden wants to give me, but gradually, I start to get used to it. All of a sudden, after some time, this becomes the reality. I start thinking that human beings are like this, not like that. And again, it's not a criticism. Everybody has the reality. But I'm just pointing out how realities start to change. And it actually changed because of me changing from the inside. It's not, I used a simple example, like I change everybody outside of me. But actually, the more we practice the heart, every time you open your eyes, you start seeing people differently, with more compassionate heart. You want to help give them tea more than before. And it's easy. I start seeing it differently. It's not, this is this abundance. And when we get to this, it starts from our own practice. When we get to this, the unification starts to get stronger on its own. The body starts to find its timeliness on its own. So therefore, the other two methods of exercises and taking some herbs to get stronger, these are secondary methods to help us through until we find the heart. In ancient time, for a famous Chinese philosopher called Mencius, like 2,300 years ago, he says when they lose their chicken and dogs, they know how to run out and look for the chicken and dog, but when they lose their heart, they don't know how to go and find it. Like the things that are most precious, we kind of ignore it. But things, our possession, if I lost the chickens in ancient times, you're like, where are my chickens? Go fighting with the neighbors, maybe they took your chicken. So this, I think, still valid after a couple of thousand years, the same principle. Like we need to find our heart, and it's really not related or conditioned by the external surrounding. The example that I gave before, you just put me in a monastery amongst monks, is the easiest way. And actually many people look for this solution. In other words, I have many problems, and I heard this many times. People say, people recommended to me to stop talking to other people that are mean to me. Like you try to change the outside world and then will be peace. But I think it's a little childish, When the child has a problem, he tells the other one, you did it. You should change. That's the child. But for us, and I'm not saying it in a condescending way, for us it's like rediscovering ourselves. It's like, no, it doesn't matter what you tell me. Let's say you tell me, your lecture is terrible. And I'm just looking at myself. How can I try to make it better and help more? It's not like, no, you're terrible. Right? It's not that. I'm just looking inside to find the abundance, to try to help more. Like in such a scenario, it's like, why didn't it help? I need to learn more. I need to meditate more. Like I need to fix myself more. Not to fix you because you were antagonizing me, for example. But this is where the abundance is coming from. So I'm just summarizing this whole talk about the exercise, the unification, and the heart. It's not on the same importance. The heart is the most important, and it's very relevant to this place where we're at here, at the Buddhist temple. The heart is the most important. From here, we have like a nuclear reactor. The light is coming endlessly, and if this can come out to the tissues, to my actions, to my words, to my thoughts, it's almost impossible to get sick. It's completely impossible to be unhappy, even if the banks just sent me a letter, they want to take my home. Like that external reality completely cannot get me discouraged. The opposite of, maybe you heard, if the stock market collapsed and all of a sudden some people jump off the roof. Like their life has just collapsed. This is completely the opposite contrast of this. And I'm thinking, remember we said it before, we have 100 years to live, 120 years. We need to be happy every single day, all day long. Not when the conditions are good to be happy. The conditions are bad, because the bank wants for me something or other people want something from me, then I'm sad or angry or hateful or resentful. It's not conditioned by that. Then you can be happy every moment. You know, in ancient times, the teachers that I follow, you know, they said really a person, he needs food, he needs drink, and he needs clothing, and he needs shelter, not to be cold when there's a blizzard. This we do need, and if we have family, we have to take care of them so they're not cold, they're not hungry. But you know, my teacher said if you have that, this is a beautiful existence. Like you don't have to be the most successful in the world to be happy. If we don't have food, if we're starving, if our family is starving, it's a problem. But there's a big difference between this reality and what we think is starving. You know, housewives of Los Angeles style. I don't know, just picking on them. And I hope they forgive me. But if they're watching, the housewife or whatever, this could be good. This could be good for that show. But this is how I wanted to summarize the talk. So we got 3 useful exercises. I hope that if you want, you could practice for the heart, for the body, homemade tea, how to get yourself warmed up, especially with the winter coming. If you have any questions or things that I want to clarify more, I'm happy to as well. Does it sound a little bit too out of this world, too naive, too optimistic, it's never going to happen? I think, you know, I mean, I've been practicing it for quite some years now, and I can just share from my own experience that this thing does work. Like over the years, heart that was resentful, angry, impatient, turned to be happy, very patient, very kind, very generous. Like this really happened. It's not a theoretical endeavor. Like out of practice, I can tell you. The tolerance level changes. Yeah.
What made you start practicing? Yeah.
Well, it's hard to pinpoint it to a one particular thing because I've been learning for many years. So, for example, in 1994, I was very curious about meditation and Buddhism, and I went to Sri Lanka for a month in a Buddhist monastery, so it's related to this, for a long time ago, just trying to learn different methods, how to heal yourself. But I think if you would ask me what is the thing that really drives me, is that I learned for some years, I was very optimistic before I got married and had kids. You know, because nobody bothers you, you don't have responsibility to anyone, you don't need much money either, so it's hard to be miserable. You know, you travel the world if you want, there's no responsibility to anyone, right? That kind of a life. And that's when I learned Buddhism and meditation and Chinese medicine and all kind of things, and I was really happy. But then I got married, I fell in love, I was very happy, but then the first kid came, the second, and the third, and the fighting started, and the arguing, and all of a sudden I realized that many years of me practicing, meditating, this all kind of other things, I was still finding myself getting angry, things that like were a flashback from my childhood, that I thought that I completely overcame it, you know, like I thought I was over it, I was already better than Tao. And I'm just sidetracking for a minute. My wife used to tell me, oh, what do you think, you're better than Tao? And I always thought that she meant the Chinese Tao. Until one day I realized that it's some Shakespearean language better than Tao. So when I say it, I have these two meanings, the Shakespearean thing and the Chinese Tao. But that if you ask me about one thing that caused me to really take a different course, even though I was doing it before, but I was doing other things that really don't require you to change much, but makes you feel great, like you're, you know, really accomplished. Then I realized that I need some real transformation. Like that kind of practices, and there's a lot to it to learn, but that kind of a practice that really make a transformation inside. Take a person that, even though something from your childhood is hiding for many years, especially when you get to kids or family or mother or father, it doesn't have to be kids, that all of a sudden it triggers you. You know, you feel happy with everyone, but there's fights with your aunt or with your mom or with your sister or brother. Normally in a close relationship, this thing comes out. And for me, the kids helped me realize that I was getting mad. Well, you would say it could be okay. They paint on the walls and they ruin the house. So you get a little upset. But I realized, I thought that I was really, really good, and all of a sudden I realized that the accomplishment was not there. Needed much, much more. And so after that process, which I'm still in and will be for many years, but maybe after 8, 9, 10 years of that process, I realized that real transformation can take place from these kind of exercises and others like this. So at the beginning when we did this exercise, I don't feel anything, for 50 years, 40 years, I'm doing the same stuff. All of a sudden someone tell me, breathe in and imagine that you're a baby. It doesn't mean much, but the experience comes through practice. Like this is the method. It doesn't mean that because we did it for 1 minute, that's it, I'm over it, accomplished. That belonged to the first 10 years, where I thought that as soon as I learned it, that's it, I'm the master of the world. That belongs to that class. But here it's like we realize that we don't know much is a humble way to approach things. And the more we practice, the more we realize what comes out of it. And I can just testify after maybe 10 years that it's real. Like the person, really, the kids try to get me mad, can't. It's because of the abundance. It's like you still educate them. It's not like I don't care, you want to break the world, it's not I don't care. Here we're talking about proper. Proper means discipline them, educate them, teach them, cultivate them. It's not, right? It's not moving into carelessness. To the contrary, I think you can be very passionate and shouting at them, and that means that you don't care about them that much. You actually care about yourself. You're mad, and you just exert your anger at them. And this passionate action is not necessarily caring. Caring needs to be more a cultivating side. And you need to be a very calm heart for that. And actually, so it means that you care more and you can do much less to care more. It's not the more you bombard them. Just in that one example, it means you care more. Let's say every morning I shout at my kids, why? It doesn't mean I care about them. It just means I'm an angry person. That's what it means. But the more you try to make them good, like transmit this legacy of goodness, of kindness. They do something, they don't know, they're learning. They do something bad, you teach them it's like this, it's not like that. And if they don't understand, I take their video game. So you discipline them, so you take action. But you don't feel mad. You just want to make them good. It's not that you want to teach them, I'm just sticking with an example, but there are many different examples. You don't want to teach them how to not embarrass you. They talk bad. Let's say they call me names in public. It's embarrassing, so I feel guilty. That's why I'm telling them not to do. I'll punish you. It's not that. It's not the scared. It's not the afraid. It's not the guilty. I feel really happy. Or I try to. And it's get much, much better over the last 10 years. And then I want to help them. If discipline them. If giving them. Whatever is needed becomes more proper for that purpose. But this is the one reason, talking about my kids, it made me realize that I thought I knew, realized maybe I didn't know so much. That was that point.
You said you did meditation before, but the meditation didn't help keep you calm until you...
It did. And there's a long story there, but it did as long as I didn't get real stimulation. Because kids, they know how to get under your skin. Different than other people, because they're very close. They know you from moment one when they are born, and they get to know the dynamics very close, 24/7. If you talk about a neighbor, they see you a few minutes. They could get under your skin, but not as good as your kids. The kids are the experts. But I'm saying I did, and I was feeling much better. I'm calmer. I was feeling proud about myself that I meditated in this way or that way and stuff. Not to criticize this, but this method is different. In this method, at least different than what I did before, not different than the rest of the world, different than what I did before. In this method, the meditation of empty calm like emptying the mind and calming the heart is the first step, like preparing the ground before I plant some plants. But if I just prepare the ground, it means nothing. There's nothing growing yet. After that, we need the methods to tap how to make this light come out. And again, many other methods maybe do that as well. I'm just comparing me to myself, what I learned in the past, not to other meditations in the world. There are many different things going on. I don't know about everything. But that was the difference for me. From just learning meditation as empty calm, even though there were different terms for that. But basically, try to fix your mind and heart, not to move. That was the objective of the meditation. And it helped me feel good until I came to a real challenge. All of a sudden, the stuff that is very buried inside from my childhood, from when I was 3 or 4 or 5 or 6, started coming out. The kids were able to tap into that. Take someone who seems to be very stable and drive them nuts. And not all kids are like this, but if you give them the opportunity, they will. Out of good heart. Why? Because they want me to correct myself. Otherwise, I just imagine that I'm good, but inside the disease is culminating. It has to be a real correction inside. That's when a person doesn't get sick. Not just that artificial telling everyone that I'm meditating and I feel so good about myself. It's not that. It has to be a real, genuine thing. When someone wants to stick it to you, you feel, like want to do something bad to you, you feel the abundance. So happy. The banker sent you a letter. We are taking your house. No, but you do that, and you know what happened? I don't know if you're going to believe it or not. But if you really, really connect it, all of a sudden, the next day you get another letter. Oops, it's a wrong name. It's not you. All of a sudden, they send it to the neighbor, the letter. But this is what I believe.
Another question, the T you said is to deal with the issue with unification. I guess I'm trying to think, could it be just because the body, the example of the 10-year-old and the 9-year-old, but it's the body that, an older person, so you cannot digest the apples and convert into energy as efficiently, so the T, I guess I'm trying to think, it's just to help the body function better, is how I'm thinking about it.
Yeah, there's a couple of things in your question about aging and getting sick. I believe, this is my belief, even though it's completely not common, you can hardly see it, if someone's heart is very, very harmonious, the unification will be good until the last day, and the body will get very little sick, unless, again, something physical, the house collapsed or something. But physically, getting sick is very, very difficult in that way, because you don't want a lot, you don't feel sad, you feel abundance. It's not like, even if you hide it, it's like inside, you look at the neighbors with the Lambo, and you feel jealous because it's red and looks sleek, and I wish that I could, but in my life I would never, that thoughts, they never cross your mind, you just feel happy. So like this, the unification declining, let me put it that way, when a person is born, if the parents are healthy and they did the right thing in the same way that we just explained, if they're sick, it's a problem. So you can see a baby born already sick. So we are talking about the parents also doing the right thing. But if the parents were healthy and happy and that thing, and the baby is born, is supposed to have X amount of years, let's say 100 years, with unification for 100 years, with heart to give light for 100 years, with body to work for 100 years. People are not born to live 100 years with a body that will survive only 50. Everything's supposed to work until the last day. And work means work just right. So again, this you would say, but if I'm looking around, normally it's not the case. The reality it's not, but we talked about realities. Reality is because of the situation. We need to create a different reality. So that's why if we live healthy from the beginning, and if we change our way, even if later on in life, not when we were kids, we're now changing our ways, I think recovering the body's ability and the unification ability is tremendous. Someone was really, really sick, and I have many, many examples of this. Of patients who were really, really sick that modern medicine say there's no cure for that, and they feel happy, healthy, and hopefully a long life too. You know. So before I started mentioning it, but I didn't fully say it out, I started talking about diseases, and I'm telling it to some of my patients that too. If you're happy and healthy and you're going to live to be long life, let's say 100 years, with no pains, and you're so happy, it actually doesn't matter what disease you have. God forbid, I mean, just think about it. It's a paradox, but it doesn't have to be a paradox. Let's say you get diagnosed with a terrible disease, cancer. I don't know who cured cancer or what, but assuming that person lives to be 100, happy without pains, doesn't matter that they have cancer. Right? The purpose is not the disease and fight the disease. The purpose is to live so long, happy and healthy. But of course, the modern medicine say that if you cure it, you're right, there's a different equation in that reality. But we have a different reality here. The objective is similar, to live long, happy life. I'm just saying, let's not focus about the diseases and selling drugs and procedure, how to get to that objective. And it's not always the same path. You know, we want to be happy, healthy, and long life, and naturally we have this capability. To the last moment that I have light in my heart, the unification will be enough for that, and the body will work enough. So I don't have to get sick in our reality. Even if today is not common, if we can get to this reality, we don't have to get sick. It's not like a given. People have to get sick. I'm happy if we put the whole medical industry out of business. This is the ultimate virtue. Like doctors sit there in the office, nobody's coming. Any practitioner, myself included, I'm also a practitioner of medicine, Hunyuan or whatever. I'm sitting there, nobody's coming. Because everybody's healthy, happy, healthy, and it's not because they don't want to come and they're sick at home. But this is how wonderful of an existence is that, and so we're aspiring for this. So can we change the world? I don't know. But in my mind, if we change one person at a time, this is the world. Like every person, for me, is like the world. You know, it's not like, well, if you can get 1 million people healthy, that's good. Otherwise, don't bother. It's like if you can get one person cured and healthy and long life, this is it. Like my application was fulfilled completely. Right? So modern medicine is not, they don't count with single people. It's like with the population. We need to start, it's like a grassroots thing. Every person needs to get healthy. Every person tell their friends, their family, and they get healthy that way. But did I answer your question, or was I kind of going?
Yes, yeah. Thank you, very helpful.
How about other things from what I said? You think we can go and practice it like at home, or it's like, I don't care. You can just try it. You can just take some of it. First of all, the tea, does it taste good to you? I mean, when I drink it, it tastes pretty good. So, and this is another thing, you know, I mean, there's a lot of things we can talk about, but this is another thing I could share. Like, I think medicine that you take need to taste good, because it makes the heart happy. If it tastes disgusting, or it makes me hurt. Let's say you put stuff, you cut me with a knife, you know, it hurts. And we do it in the name of medicine, you know, to heal, to cure. Otherwise you'll die. If I don't cut you open, you'll die. That kind of thing. But I don't subscribe to that. And medicine needs to be beautiful. Imagine that. Even if you go to get medicine, it's a happy thing. It's a delicious thing. It's a comfortable thing. It's a calming thing. Is it weird? I mean, I'm thinking as a patient, I want to come, if I'm sick, I want to come and I want to feel good. Not at the end, now. Like through the process. That's why I use common herbs. I like that it tastes good. Instead of giving something that is really bitter, you want to throw your guts out, and then I tell you, but it's good medicine. You know, this logic doesn't conform to the heart. The heart is like, I want to be happy. But don't get me wrong, some people take things that they like and that hurts them. This is because the heart is off-center. You know, let's say you eat a lot of processed food and junk, and I really like it. You know, the company that make this, they manipulate the taste bud, makes your brain think, and you're kind of following to it. If the heart is centered, there's no way to fall into this trap. whatever you eat, but this is physically, it's not an intellectual thing. Like when you start to get more and more center and you eat a very delicious nachos or cheese, or not cheese, but like, I don't want to get sued here, but all kind of packaged stuff. You eat it that people say it's delicious and you see them eating this, but if you eat it and if you really center and the body is really on time and the unification is strong, you eat it, all of a sudden it makes you queasy. The body rejects it. And I can tell you, like for my daughter, who's almost 13, she didn't have any sweets for the first 2 years. Just regular food and homemade formula I made her, and all kind of stuff like this. And at one point, when she went to preschool, we went to the first birthday party. And she had the cake, these regular cakes, birthday cakes. And it was very interesting experience. She just, vomited everything on the table. This delicious cake with the happy birthday, with the candles and stuff. Like her body just couldn't take this. But now it's not the case. After quite a few birthdays, you're getting used to it. But I'm saying intuitively, the body does not take this junk and say it's great. But with the time, we kind of say, yeah, delicious, kind of comforting, whatever. Intuitively, if you take someone that lives really, really healthy and is not close to this, and you plug them into this society and say, here, eat this chips with this stuff, they will probably throw up or get very nauseous. Like their body's like, what's going on? But after some months, they'll get used to it. And they say, yeah, it tastes pretty good, the chips and stuff, the fries and this thing. So this thing, it has to do with the culture too, but also with how our body is centered and strong. All kind of deviation, then the chips become medicine. I think it gives me something, it fills me more or less, but it shouldn't. The body intuitively, and I read a very interesting article, I don't want to go off too much, but research 100 years ago some nurse did with kids, with babies. She gave them a set of 10, 15 kinds of food, and they would choose themselves what they want to eat, like from infancy until 4-year-old. And because at that time there were a lot of pediatricians, someone just recently sent me this article, very interesting. Because at that time, pediatrician would say, kids have to eat this, they have to eat this to get the nourishment right. They start to boss kids around. And she showed, after learning so many kids for a few years, that they were growing to be very healthy, each one picking what they want. But there was no junk food there. All kind of healthy ingredients, but they can eat how much they want and whatever kind they want. So that theory of you have to give them that seemed to be not so correct, at least in that lady's study. But I think it's kind of makes sense in our logic, that the body knows, the heart knows. If I give you tea that is really disgusting, if I'm strong enough in my mind to manipulate you to believe that it's good, you might follow through. Says, and this probably is good. That's what most people do. Take drugs, procedure, obviously it hurts me, but the doctor said, and they know, they went to school for a million years and the FDA approved it, and they know, everybody knows. That's the common thing, but it's not intuitive. The same with taking all kind of pills, all kind of stuff, It's not intuitive to take pills and stuff. It's good for selling, good for production, good for marketing, not good for people. People needs to be happy, healthy, live long life, and this is not so difficult. Just need the right Tao, the right course, But that's what I think. So I can go on and on forever, but first I just want to thank you for coming in. This is our talk for today. There's on my website, hunyuanacademy.com, there's a lot of videos, free videos and articles and things. If you have more interest, you can just check it out, watch. Most of the time when I give lectures, I record them, I post the videos. If you Google my name on YouTube, there'll be a lot of videos. Just more information, different exercises, other ideas, but it's all in that style,
Thank you.
Thank you, everybody. Thank you for the center, for the Buddhist Center to invite us, and have a great week, everybody.